all going to die eventually. Our cities will turn into dust. Our makeup will turn into trash. And we will turn into worm food. And honestly, I find that kind of soothing. Hi friends! Hi, thank you so much for watching. My name is Mia and this is my virtual vanity, a place where I love makeup and are quite critical of it. Today, I want to talk about afterlife worthy makeup. So Zeesea dad did this video concept a while back, and because I only have 2 brain cells and one of them is too busy applying tag filters on Archive of Our Own to find fan fiction, I decided to just do the same video concept because I found it particularly interesting and I wanted to give my own spin on it. So basically, afterlife worthy makeup was her favorite makeup. For me though, I want makeup that if an archaeologist comes across my grave and finds that makeup, I want them to be able to tell things about me based on the array of objects that they find near me, and that they will, like, you know, grab like a makeup brush and they will wonder, was this a ritual, a religious object? Frankly, it would be funnier if they found a dildo and they would say it was a what do they call it, a fertility ritual device. Like, usually if you go in museums and you see a vaguely cylindrical object and the text, the flavor text says it's for ritual purposes, I don't think that's a fertility ritual object, babe, but okay, whatever. So I wanted makeup that told something about me, not necessarily my favorite makeup of life, but makeup that tells a story about who I am as a person. And I think sometimes we fall into this trap of thinking that the way that we do our makeup has to tell something about ourselves, and we obsess over what we're transmitting with our makeup instead of finding the joy in it. Let's talk about my afterlife worthy makeup, the makeup that I want to bring with me into the casket. First of all, I'm sorry for any archaeologist that will come across my sorry pile of bones. I want every archaeologist to know that I am a fucking nerd. So I want to have the Zeesea Anderson Cat palette in my grave. I have a code with Zeesea. It's in the description box. Frankly, I want them to know that not only do I like colorful, sparkly stuff, but I'm also interested in history, ancient history in particular. I love the history of the Egyptians. I love the history of the whole Mediterranean. Like, I love ancient stories and ancient peoples and how they lived. And I think there is something very, very tender when I think that, you know, the same moon and the same sun that I'm seeing right now, they saw as well, and that they just lived like we do, but without the technology and the entrapments. And I'm not romanticizing the lack of technology, but it's just, they were people just like us, and they had best friends, and they thought their coworkers were shit, and they had inner jokes, and they had memes, like the ancient version of memes. They probably, like, they scribbled on walls just like we do, and they laughed and they had inner jokes, and there's just something so tender about it. The history of humanity that stretches back, and in the end we're all pretty much the same. It's just the packaging that changes and the circumstances. But yeah, I want them to know that I really liked history and that I'm a nerd and I like pretty things. And I think Zeesea perfectly, this Zeesea palette perfectly encompasses all of that. I also want them to know that I'm really into esoterica and into, I wouldn't say necessarily astrology, that's not my thing, but I'm really into the more kooky part of esoterica as a field of research and of study. I love tarot, I love several types of occultism, reading into it, like I'm really into that. And I feel that this MAC with Pony palette really showcases that. Now, the inside doesn't scream Mia, but this is not about the inside, this is about what they would tell if they would still see this packaging. This does scream a bit unknown religious object from the before times, right? Like, if you came across this without context, you would be like, this was probably a tablet used to embody the sun and the moon, and they probably did some weird ritual with the powder inside, you know what I mean? I also want them to know that I'm a nerd for fantasy, so I want in my grave the Zeesea Dragon Lips. I really like this shade in MO8, the only shade that I have. It's a very beautiful blood red with beautiful heavy packaging, and I really like mythology a lot, and specifically mythology of the fantastical, things that involve mythical creatures, and I feel that this signifies that. I also want them to know that I love sparkle and the night sky and everything that is beautifully and glittery and shimmery, and so I'm picking the Nabla Dreamy 2 to go with me to the grave. The Nabla Dreamy 2 is a dark dream of a palette, full of topper shades and multi-dimensional shimmers, rich mattes. I want the archaeologists to know that while I loved glitter and shimmer, I had a dark side to me, that I am battling my demons, as cheesy as that might sound. But both me and my demons agree that sparkle is good, yes. Me and my demons have a truce regarding the magpie brain, where we both agree that yes, this is good. Speaking of magpie brain, since I really like shiny, beautiful stuff, I want to take with me the Mercury highlighter from Lunar Beauty because of the packaging. Beautiful shiny crystal, and the inside is also really beautiful, really intense gold. This is not an everyday highlight for me. It's a spectacular highlight, but you can see me from space, and that's a look that I calculate. Like, it's not an everyday look for me. I really love this thing. Also want them to know that I was a romantic, so I am picking the By Terry Beach Balm palette. This is a very romantic palette. You've got the rose imprint, you've got the rose smell that probably will not survive. It will probably all smell old and rotten by the time that they dig me up after the earth falls to the corporate wars in Skynet. But yeah, it's a very beautiful piece of makeup. It's very intricate in its own way. Last but not least, I want them to see my passion for everything that's beyond our atmosphere. I want them to know I love space and that I love sparkle stuff, of course. So I'm picking the Kaleidos Space Age Prophecy highlighter to join me to the other side. This is me in highlighter form. It's so beautiful and shifty and reflective and sparkly. This is more of a very obvious highlighter. This is not a subtle highlight. This is not a glossy highlight. You can tell that you're wearing highlight with this, but I think that's the point. It's the point to be ethereal and iridescent, multi-chromatic, and to have your cheeks look like butterfly wings. I think this is a beautiful addition to my grave. What do you think? Last but not least, my favorite tool of the trade. This is the Cupio 305. I really like the 306 from them as well. These are very, very fluffy brushes. Now, I don't know if in the very distant future, makeup as we know it will be a thing, but if it is, my archaeologist will know that I liked soft, blown out looks, and that I thought that the bigger the brush, the closer to God. Or they'll also think this is a fertility ritual object, but I'll take my risks with that. Anyway, these have been my makeup picks that I would take to the grave, the afterlife worthy part of my makeup collection. I would love to hear about yours and why you're picking them and what you're trying to tell with them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you to Zeesea for the amazing video inspiration. I will of course link down her video and her channel down below. You guys don't forget to have a wonderful evening, morning, second breakfast, third lunch, or whatever it is you're from. Bye!